Welcome back to the Wellbeing Podcast.
Where every episode is a step towards a healthier...
Happier you.
Yes.
Let's grow, thrive, and shine together.
Absolutely.
Don't forget to subscribe and like the Wellbeing Podcast.
Yeah.
Share your thoughts and let us know in the comments what topics you'd love to hear about in future episodes.
Yes.
Today, we're taking a deep dive
Mm-hmm.
into something that affects us all, communication.
Yes.
Across generations.
This is a good one.
You know, that feeling when you're trying to get your point across, but it's like you're speaking different languages.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a stack of research articles,
Right.
even some personal anecdotes all ready to unpack.
All right. I love it.
Let's do it. What's fascinating is that it's not just about what we say,
Right.
but the entire context we grew up with.
Exactly.
The technology, the social norms, even the big world events that shaped our outlook.
You got it.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's
Yeah.
start with the basics.
Okay.
We've all heard the labels baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z,
I've heard of them.
and even the upcoming Gen Alpha.
Oh, yeah. They're coming up.
But are these labels really useful?
Well, they can be helpful starting points.
Okay.
For example, take baby boomers,
Yeah.
born between 1946 and 1964.
Okay.
A lot of their communication style comes from a time when face-to-face interaction was king people. Phone calls were the height of technology, and a formal letter was the gold standard. So it makes sense that a 2020 Salesforce study found that a whopping 75% of them still prefer phone calls for business.
Oh, wow.
They value that direct personal connection.
So if I'm sending a quick text to a boomer colleague,
Uh-huh.
I might want to reconsider and pick up the phone instead.
Yeah, it might be worth it, especially if it's something important.
Yeah.
Now, with Gen X,
Yeah.
born between 1965 and 1980,
Okay.
we see the beginning of the digital shift.
Hmm.
Email became their go-to, which a Pew Research study found 85% of them still use regularly for work.
Wow.
But they also straddle that world between in-person and digital,
Yeah.
kind of like a bridge between the boomers and the younger generations.
They're the ones who saw the rise of the internet and adopted email, but still remember life before it.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So where do millennials fit into all this?
Millennials,
Right.
born between 1981 and 1996.
Okay.
They get called digital natives, but it's more nuanced than that.
Right.
Sure, they were early adopters of texting and instant messaging. A 2021 Gallup poll found that 68% of them use these platforms daily.
Wow.
But being digital isn't just about age.
Right.
It's about the depth of engagement, how much tech is woven into the fabric of their lives.
So a millennial who grew up with limited access to technology might have a different relationship with digital communication
Right.
than one who had a smartphone in their hand from a young age.
Precisely. It's about acknowledging the spectrum of experiences within each generation.
And then, of course, we have Gen Z, born between 1997 and 2012, who are often seen as the masters of visual communication.
Absolutely. A 2022 Global Web Index report found that a staggering 65% of them prefer communicating through images and videos.
Wow.
Think about platforms like Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
These are their native languages. They're incredibly adept at expressing themselves visually.
It's like they've grown up with a whole different set of communication tools than previous generations.
Yeah.
And then there's Gen Alpha, born after 2012,
That's right.
who are still so young but already immersed in technology
Right.
in ways we can barely imagine.
It's remarkable how quickly things are evolving.
Yeah.
Early research suggests that Gen Alpha is leaning towards voice-activated technology, think Alexa or Siri, and interactive platforms like Roblox.
Oh, yeah.
They're growing up in a world where virtual and augmented reality are becoming commonplace.
It's like science fiction becoming reality right before our eyes.
I know, right?
But with all these different communication styles,
Right.
isn't it inevitable that we're going to run into some misunderstandings?
Absolutely. This is where the real challenges and honestly the most interesting dynamics come into play.
Okay.
It's not just about different preferences, it's about different expectations and interpretations.
So it's not just about how we communicate,
Right.
but also about what we expect from those interactions.
Exactly.
Okay.
For example, imagine a baby boomer manager
Okay.
sending a lengthy email with all the details, expecting a thoughtful, equally detailed response. A Gen Z employee used to quick-fire texts and emojis might just send a thumbs-up emoji thinking they've fully acknowledged the message.
I can see how that could lead to some major miscommunication and frustration on both sides.
Yeah.
And it's not just a hypothetical scenario.
No.
A 2019 Bridgeworks study found that a shocking 60% of workplace conflicts stem from these very generational differences in communication.
Oh, wow.
60%.
That's a lot.
That's huge.
Yeah.
It really highlights how important it is to be aware of these nuances, not just to avoid conflict, but to actually build stronger relationships across generations.
That's exactly it. It's about seeing these differences not as obstacles,
Right.
but as opportunities for greater understanding and connection.
So where do we go from here?
Right.
How do we bridge this communication gap? What are the tools we can use?
Well, that's precisely what we'll delve into in part 2 of this deep dive.
All right.
We'll explore some practical strategies backed by research
Okay.
that can help you navigate these complexities and communicate more effectively across generations.
Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll continue to unravel the mysteries of generational communication.
It's going to be good.
Until then, thanks for listening to the Wellbeing Podcast. Take care and stay inspired, and see you next time.
See you next time.